What's up, my friend? My name is André. Today we'll be reacting to Top 10 Greatness American Presidents. But before I go into that, can I ask you just for one thing? If you can leave a like on this video, thank you so much for that. It's the best way to show support. If you can subscribe, oh man, in that case, forget about it. You make my day. Have that in consideration. Now, link for the original video in my description. You guys end up recommending this one quite a lot, so let's play it.
Hi, I'm Mr. Beat,
Hey.
and President's Day is coming up. One of my favorite holidays. We have a big sale every year. The inventory has to go. Our best and newest models are coming in.
80 many years ago.
Wait, is this what I'm thinking about? No chance. Is this Abraham Lincoln and George Washington? If that's the case, this is amazing.
Oh yeah, massive deal.
Who's your founding father?
Get
Oh,
away from
man.
the camera.
I see you, baby.
Bluetooth. Talking about the red, white, and blue.
You know, we're not talking about
Okay, I was actually digging that commercial. I love America, man.
a car sale. We're talking about an actual holiday that celebrates the presidents of the United States of America.
Sure.
Not the band, although that's a really good band, one of my favorite bands. The actual presidents of the United States.
Okay, so let me make a couple of predictions for the top 10. To be honest, I think will be obvious choices. I think Abraham Lincoln 100% will be on the list, probably number one if I had to guess, but could be number two. George Washington could also be number one, because I believe those two, everyone tends to agree. I would love to pick a third one. You know, let's go with Roosevelt. I believe it's Franklin Roosevelt, the one that was leading America in the Second War. Okay, I think those are three great choices, right?
Of America. And you have wanted this video for a very long time. Here are my
Top 10 presidents of all time.
Okay, actually, let's play a game. I love to do this with you, my friends, and I take a look at all the comments, so have that also in consideration. But leave me your top three. You know, I end up leaving mine, I guess, Abraham Lincoln, George Washington, and Roosevelt. But share with me your top three.
Number 10, James Garfield, one of our smartest presidents in history. I mean, by many accounts, he was very intelligent. He was a self-made man. Started from the bottom, now we're here, okay? Lost his father when he was young, worked to pay for an education, eventually became a businessman and a professor, and then, of course, later a politician, a representative, also a successful military leader for the Union in the Civil War. As president, he appointed many African Americans to posts in his administration, which was unheard of at the time. Now, he didn't last long in office as president. You may already know that he was assassinated shortly after getting into office, but he would have been amazing. And so what he
Okay, so very short time, but still made the list. Okay, this is impressive. But by the way, what's going on with all the assassinations in America when it comes to presidents, specific in the past, of course? That's crazy. So many great leaders end up dying.
would have been is why I rank him high. He made a name for himself fighting cronyism, fighting political machines in Washington, D.C., and just fighting corruption in general.
By the way, before you even say I post too much, I'm already aware. I'm not judging his choices because, as you can imagine, he knows much more than me. I guess you can agree or disagree with him, but I'm actually trying to learn.
9.
James Madison, I believe, was important for the Constitution. Am I saying some BS? Maybe.
James Madison. James Madison, the father of the Constitution, of course. Many of the best ideas of the Constitution that we take for granted came from him, and he pretty much wrote the Constitution, okay?
Okay, so 100% should be on the top 10, no chance, okay.
Bill of Rights, most importantly, came from James Madison. So just on that alone, that's why he's one of my favorites.
Makes sense.
As president, he also was a great leader in terms of once that War of 1812 broke out, he did an amazing job leading the charge to defend against the British invading the homeland.
Okay.
Now, he was a bit foolish when he called for war against the British, but I digress. He was a key author of the
I mean, end up working out, so it is what it is.
Federalist Papers. And again, When he was my age, he was one of the leading voices at the Constitutional
Okay.
Convention. Number 8, John F. Kennedy. I have
Okay, Kennedy, super, super famous. I know he also got assassinated, right? And actually, I was reading the other day something that said that the conspiracy theories started basically with Kennedy. Is that true, my friends?
have a lot of respect for his World War II service. I mean, he saved a man's life, for crying out loud. His leadership during the Cuban Missile Crisis was amazing. I mean, let's ignore the Bay of Pigs fiasco. During the Cuban Missile Crisis, he did well. He had learned from past mistakes. He had found a way to ease relations with the Soviet Union at the height of the Cold War. He created the Peace Corps, the Equal...
So I actually do not know a lot about Tim. Again, I end up reading some stuff, but not a lot. But from what I see interacting with some of you guys in the comments when I react to political stuff related with history, seems like he's one of the presidents that you guys tend to love. I could be wrong on this one, but at least it's the feeling I get talking with a couple of you.
Pay Act, which I don't think gets enough attention. And even though it was controversial, he moved civil rights legislation forward. He just gave really good, inspiring speeches. I mean, I still get fired up watching his moon speech at Rice Stadium. We shall go to the moon. I mean, yeah, I'm fired up. Number 7, Harry Truman. I used to think much less of Harry Truman when I
Actually, I don't know Harry Truman. Okay.
was younger. I mean, I judged him based on his decision to drop the atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And
Oh, now that he's talking, I believe I was aware of this. But for some reason, I thought was Roosevelt the one leading America at the time, the World War II. I guess was... Okay, actually, never mind.
I didn't agree with that decision when I was younger, and I still struggle with that decision. And then there were other things that not to like about Harry Truman. The Truman Doctrine, which really was all about us beginning to police the world and get up in everybody's business. Some of his racist language that he used.
Okay, the racist stuff, but I'm not sure what he's talking about. But why is he saying that he struggles with what he did when it comes to the atomic bomb? I know that was a crazy thing that he did, don't get me wrong, but looking now, and up when ending the war, I'm sorry, so I think it was kind of the correct thing at the time, or am I very off on this?
But then I learned more about Harry Truman, and the more I learned
And the Japanese ended up invading America first, so it is what it is.
about him, the more I realized he was just a great common sense leader who really considered all sides to issues, and he just tried to do what was best for the majority. He didn't always get it right, but he certainly did whatever he could to make sure that every voice was heard. Plus, he played piano, and he's from the Kansas City area, so there's that.
Okay.
Number 6, Theodore Roosevelt. Growing up,
Okay, so there is two Roosevelts, Theodore Roosevelt. I wonder if they are connected somehow.
Theodore Roosevelt was my favorite president. I mean, he was this larger-than-life figure that just seemed to be able to do anything, that was somebody who fought for the common man, and, you know, I kind of lived him up more than he actually was. I still respect Theodore Roosevelt tremendously. He went down the list just because of his foreign policy. The more I learned about his perception of the world, a bit too American-centered. He could have learned a lot more about other cultures, I think. But his boldness was undeniable. I mean, he was an active president. Before he was president, he even signed up to fight a war he was really passionate about. He wasn't just an advocate for the war, he actually fought in it.
It's brave.
Okay? He set new precedents for the role of president. He stopped strikes. His push for national parks and his conservation efforts were amazing.
Oh, I like him already, because I love the national parks in America. They are so beautiful. And if he actually end up working to conserve them, I like him.
Past political parties and institutions, went straight to the people, straight to the media. You know,
Okay, sorry for another pause, but let me say one thing. I don't know if those guys are Republicans or Democrats. So sometimes I see in the comments that you guys fight a bit, but please try to to be nice to each other, because at the end of the day, at least I do this to learn, you know. So try to be friendly. I think it's so important.
he loved the press, and he was the first to have the
Actually, the other day someone said that I should not be reacting to the Civil War because Abraham Lincoln was a crazy guy and he said a lot of awful stuff that I was like, man, I'm not even sure what you're talking about.
Press in the White House. Theodore Roosevelt was all about justice. He was a tough son of a gun. Number 5,
Okay.
Dwight D Eisenhower. Again, I'm a little biased here. Eisenhower was raised in Kansas.
Also, very popular president. Do not know a lot about him, but his name is very popular.
This is my home state, but another World War II hero, a phenomenal leader that helped the Allies get victory in that war. No one can deny.
I believe he has a quote that does not matter the... Okay, I actually I don't know the quote, but it's something like does not matter how big is the dog in the fight, matters the dog inside of you, something like that. But it's actually a really cool quote.
Deny the importance of his leadership for an Allied victory. Operation Overlord, the capture of Germany, that was him, and he later was the supreme commander of NATO, for crying out loud. He's a big reason why the Korean War ended, okay? He had a foresight to see what was going on with that. Let's just end this right now. The interstate highway system and NASA. I'm a fan of both, and that was him. He appointed Earl Warren as Chief Justice for the Supreme Court.
And why is that bad?
Earl freaking Warren. Related to this, he sent federal troops to Little Rock to enforce school integration after the Brown v. Board of Education decision. Eisenhower was a fairly moderate dude. I mean, he saw the importance of social programs, but also saw the importance of a limited government protecting liberty. So he was a great balance of both. Number
Seemed like a great president, honestly.
4. Thomas Jefferson definitely had some flaws, but I call him the father of civil liberties. I mean, he was a genius. I mean, the main author of the Declaration of Independence, the Virginia Statute of Religious Freedom, his passionate support for the Bill of Rights, and the fact that he popularized many of the ideas in the Bill of Rights. His views were always evolving. It's not like he had the same ideas his entire life. He's what we call a Renaissance man, right? He was constantly trying to better himself and learn new things. He can claim credit for the Louisiana Purchase, which was a bit controversial, but ultimately...
Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, I actually saw this in another video. Guys bought Louisiana, I believe from the French, right? Okay, this is okay. I'm learning a lot on this video. I like it.
I think the right thing to do. He saw the good in common people. He promoted democratic ideals when most of the elite did not. So he saw the good in people. I've always liked TJ for that. Number 3.
Okay, Thomas Jefferson. Okay.
Calvin Coolidge. Probably.
Okay, I don't know about this one. So I guess okay, this is the top 3. Man, I will be wrong on my prediction, so there will be no... I mean, I know that there will be no Roosevelt, right? Because Abraham Lincoln and Washington are on the list 100%. I wonder why not putting Roosevelt. I thought it was so important for America.
The least egotistical of all the presidents did not have an ego. Actually probably weakened the power of the presidency. The least political of all the presidents. That's great. I love apolitical presidents. Extremely modest dude, okay? He's kind of gotten a bad rap though. My favorite quote of him, quote, "Perhaps one of the most important accomplishments of my administration has been minding my own business." While the president doesn't create jobs and isn't responsible for the entire economy, the economy did happen to do very well under his watch. More importantly, despite that, at the same time, he shrank the national budget, shrank the national debt, while simultaneously somehow figuring out a way to cut taxes. He was a fiscal conservative, but a social progressive, outspoken for women's rights and fighting corruption. Had a humble foreign policy and anti-crony capitalism. He used common sense and spoke honestly. He never sugarcoated anything. My number 2 often surprises a lot of people, but it is Grover Cleveland. And
wait, what is this top 10? So no Roosevelt, no at least Washington or Abraham Lincoln will be out of the list, or maybe puts both as number 1. Wait, this is Okay, I mean, he's probably he knows a lot about history. I assume so. Who am I to even be questioning his explanations? To be fair, but as someone not living in America, looking from the outside, I thought, at least for me, this was a bit obvious. Okay, never mind.
And this may be a surprise even to people who've watched this channel for a long time. Grover Cleveland started out as a teacher. He was a classic liberal who believed in limited government, which explains the majority of his vetoes. He had more vetoes than any other president other than FDR. He had a humble foreign policy. He was
FDR is Franklin Roosevelt, right?
anti-interventionist.
Franklin. Is this Franklin?
And I think you know what I value here with my political beliefs, but he was a big proponent of free trade. He was anti-crony capitalist probably more than any other president. He fought the government corporate monopoly of the railroads. Before he became president, he made a career out of fighting corruption and fighting the political machines of the day. And Grover was a man of integrity, a strong moral compass. He put aside his own selfish desires, always for the greater good. You know, what more could you ask for a public servant of our country?
And my favorite president of all time
Is George Washington, which many of
Okay, nothing against George Washington, because him being number one, I'm okay with that. I mean, probably the best president ever, or for sure should be on this list, right? I mean, he's almost the face of America. But what am I missing about Abraham Lincoln, honestly? This is so confusing for me right now. Do you guys consider Abraham Lincoln a bad president? I mean, not making the top 10 does not mean he's bad, don't get me wrong, but I'm so shocked by this. Even Roosevelt, I'm a bit shocked. I mean, never mind, I guess.
you already knew, George Washington, the first president, set
But George Washington, I mean, amazing man.
all precedents, set the bar very high for all future presidents. Before he was president, though, I mean, he was a military hero. The French and Indian War, the Revolutionary War, more than any.
So I have a video where I react to the American Revolution, and I was super impressed by George Washington. But I also reacted to the American Civil War, and I also was super impressed with Abraham Lincoln. So that's why I'm a bit in shock. Never mind, I guess.
Anyone. He probably single-handedly is the person most responsible for the United States becoming a country.
I'm sorry, I have to pause it. But at the beginning, there was a guy that was like 6 months, as president. How this guy makes the list and not Abraham Lincoln? I don't know, man.
Against great odds, against the most powerful military in the world at the time. George Washington was confident but humble. He never wanted to be president. He was kind of forced into that position. I mean, that's always been inspiring to me, that the fact that he limited his own power, he unwillingly took that position. When everybody wanted him to be king, he said no. The humility
of that's kind of badass. They went, that's amazing.
George Washington has always inspired me. I mean, he limited his own power, and the great example of that is limiting himself to 2 terms and set that precedent for future presidents until FDR. He was president of the Constitutional Convention when the Constitution was made. He was against political parties. He warned against them. He warned against foreign entanglements and permanent alliances. The proclamation of neutrality, I mean, that's what I'm all about. His leadership ending the Whiskey Rebellion. I mean, he was out there personally leading the troops on a horse, for crying out loud. And George Washington, just an amazing leader, respected
Legend.
by all.
I mean, there is no. I mean, I put him up there. I have nothing against him being number 1, because Washington was the man.
All Americans. I can't imagine another president having as much impact as George Washington. And that will do it, ladies and gentlemen. Those are my top 10 presidents of all time. And next week, make sure you tune in, because I'm going to do the worst 10 presidents of all time.
Okay. Should I react to the worst presidents of all time? Or will that be a bit controversial? Because some people may not like a couple of names there, I have a feeling. Put one in the chat if you would love me to react to the worst president. If you guys wanted, I will do it. If not, that's okay also.
Who will be on that list? Tune in next week to find out. This has been a lot of fun. Thank you.
Okay, now imagine Abraham Lincoln is the number one in the worst president for some reason that I'm not aware.
For watching.
And happy President's Day!
Mr. Beat coming at you with much shorter hair now, and I want to give a shout out to my friend Dave, who I met at VidCon last year. He has a YouTube channel called Professor Dave Explains, and he is in the process of making biography videos about every president in American history. He just finished William Henry Harrison. I put the playlist below. You should go check it out. Who was your favorite president, and why? Let me know in the comments below.
Yeah, that's actually, by the way, I thought it was a great video, even though a couple of his decisions, I mean, but I also lack knowledge to say if he's correct or not. But great video. Also leave me your top 3 best presidents ever, and yeah, I mean, I enjoyed reacting to this. I always enjoy reacting to history, learning more about America, and I'm already looking at a couple of titles there that I would love to react, because I would love to learn about Eisenhower and also George Washington. I feel like I can learn so much more. My friends, do not forget to leave a like. See you guys next time. Bye.